How many people have to lie to start a false religion?
Good question. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I posit that Christianity could have started with two people presenting stories. Now, I don't posit that they were necessarily lying, although lying would have equal explanatory power. But I feel like lying and mistaken at this point, you just pick and choose. They have equal explanatory power, they make the same sense for motivations, that kind of thing. So for Christianity, I think it's two. I think you need Paul, and then you need someone to have invented Christianity before Paul so that he could persecute it. But anyway, we're going to get some kind of study here. How many people need to lie to start a religion? Let's see.
Joseph Smith was the only one who saw the plates in the Mormon Bible, so he would be the only one to have to lie to start Mormonism.
So, well, I would love for that to be correct because it would totally be on side with my point about things. And I'm not an expert on Mormonism. I know some of you in the chat definitely are more experts on this. It's my understanding that there were other witnesses who saw the plates and that there were other people who interacted in some ways. Now, it's also my understanding that in later years, some of those people recanted and or their statements can't be super verified, all those kind of things. But unfortunately, I think if you let the claims of Mormonism stand on their own, that there were actually more than one, but we catch your point. There's really one person who definitely he was lying, whether it was social contagion or peer pressure or something else. It's possible that those other witnesses were genuinely mistaken. So, hey, we'll let you go with this, but it's just, I think it's more than one witness. That's the way it goes because we do have firsthand accounts, unlike Christianity.
Muhammad was the only one who claimed to receive the word of God.
As far as I know, and again, I'm not an expert on Islam, but I think that is actually correct. I believe it was the angel Gabriel, if I remember correctly, in a cave who presented the prophet with a lot of the insights in the first time. So this one might be good.
He would be the only one who would have to lie to start Islam. But
The important point here being that it takes only one or a handful of people for a very widely held successful religion to take hold. I think that's an excellent point.
in order to start Christianity, over 500 people would have had to lie.
No.
Paul says that Jesus appeared to over 500 people, including the 12 disciples and the women of the tomb.
Did you hear yourself? We don't have 500 witnesses. We have Paul said there were 500 witnesses. So how many people have to lie? One. Because Paul could have said 50 witnesses, or 5,000 witnesses, or 50,000 witnesses. For all we know, it doesn't matter what the number was, because we don't have firsthand accounts from any of those people. We don't know what any of their names were. We don't know what they claim to have seen. We don't know if we actually did have some of the 500 people, that it was the kind of physical body that was necessary for the kind of Christianity that most people hold now. Maybe it was some weird vision in the sky. Maybe we don't know we don't know their names. We don't know anything about this. So no, you're not telling, for that statement to be true, that does not mean there were 500 actual witnesses, my friend. Paul said there were 500 witnesses. And in fact, Paul said that other people told him. He said, for what I have received, I have passed on to you of first importance. And then he lists these things. So Paul is getting this from this isn't even secondhand. It's third hand, fifth hand, ninth hand. We don't know. No. There's no 500. We don't have anything from these 500 people.
And not only would those 500 people all have to repeat the same lie, they would have...
No, because as I just said, we have absolutely no idea. Why would it have to be the exact same? Because we don't have a statement about what they claim to have seen. They could have varied on every single detail. They could have said, one could have said, yeah, I saw Jesus. He was wearing a red shirt. Another guy said, yeah, he was wearing a blue robe. And the other person said he was naked. We have absolutely no idea of any of these details lined up because we don't have these statements. They don't have to have said the exact same lie. No. Also, do you really think that in a town like Jerusalem, that once Christianity started to catch on, once it started to get popular, once there was some benefits and in-group dynamic going on, that there might have been the occasional person who said, yeah, I was one of those 500 people. Yeah, I totally saw that. Because that's what happens with social contagion. There are way more people who have said they were at Woodstock than were at Woodstock. People inject themselves into these stories, either by being mistaken through social contagion or various types of things, or they're deliberately lying and they maybe even end up believing their own lies. There absolutely would have been people. So the reason I bring that up, because Paul and Mething says, well, some of those people are even alive. Go talk to them. We don't know. Geographically, it doesn't make sense that any of the people in Corinth could have gone down and talked to them. But there may well have even been people who claimed to be part of that 500 group, but We have absolutely no idea what they're saying, whether it was true, how we can cross-examine them, nothing. This 500 claim, no.
They stick to it for the rest of their lives, even when
How do we know they stuck to it for the rest of their lives? We don't even know what they said, let alone whether maybe they changed their mind to. So this creed in 1 Corinthians 15 that you're referring to, where the 500 are, is said to have come, from early in Christianity. Christian apologists want to say it was in the mid 30s, maybe late 30s. 1 Corinthians is being written in the 50s. We have absolutely no idea if in the 15 to 20 years that passed between there, whether these people were sticking to their story. We don't know. Maybe that creed formed in the 30s and then I was like, yeah, it wasn't really true. And or I made it up or I've forgotten what happened. No, they weren't sticking to this story for the rest of their lives. No evidence of that.
threatened with torture or death.
No, you're saying that they were threatened with torture and death. We do not have a single case where one of these 500 was brought up and because of what they were saying, given a chance to recant, that we know what they were saying. We don't have a single one who would qualify under that condition.
Simply put, if they were lying about Jesus' resurrection, that would be the hardest hoax in all of human history to pull.
Why would that have been the hardest hoax to pull? This is like first century stuff. I got to think, even if the moon landing was a hoax, if it was, I don't know. I don't think it was, but I feel like the moon landing would have been a harder hoax to pull off than for one guy to say there were 500 people in the town that you couldn't travel by. In the first century where there was no fact checking on this stuff. No, there's definitely hoaxes that were harder to pull off than this.
And they succeed. The much more simple explanation is that they were telling the truth.
No, that's not the most simple explanation because that explanation again. We spoke about it. Occam's razor. That explanation requires that we have demonstrations of supernatural things because their claims involve supernatural things. That it may well be true, but it's not the simplest because it has extra assumptions. The simplest thing could be true is that the handful of people who are making these claims were mistaken because people are mistaken about things every day. You were mistaken about something today. You may not even know. Maybe you'll find out later. Maybe you'll never find out, but you were mistaken about something today. All of us were. All of us are mistaken about things all the time. Also, people are liars. People lie about things all the time. Just ask for a comfort. So no, the simplest answer isn't that it was true. The simplest answer is they were mistaken or lying.